December 2017, demolition charges fire inside the Pontiac Silverdome. The dust settles, and it's still standing. Once the crown jewel of the NFL, a $55 million, 80,000-seat megastructure, it sold at auction for just $583,000, less than a house. The building that refused to die, but long before anyone tried to bring it down, something far more devastating had already hollowed it out from the inside. In September 1973, the city of Pontiac, Michigan, broke ground on an ambitious public wager. The local municipality funded a massive sports complex, pitching it as a bold statement of regional relevance in modern engineering. When the Pontiac Metropolitan Stadium opened on August 23, 1975, it immediately redefined the scale of American sports. Constructed for $55.7 million, the venue boasted 80,311 fixed seats. It was the largest stadium in the National Football League, a towering achievement of steel, concrete, and structural optimism. For a blue-collar community on the outskirts of Detroit, this megastructure represented absolute confidence in their economic future. The city had built a premier entertainment hub, securing a 30-year lease with the Detroit Lions as its anchor. Once a quiet automotive suburb, Pontiac now claimed a premier position at the very center of the sporting world. The defining feature of this cavernous arena was its roof, a 10-acre translucent membrane made of Teflon-coated fiberglass. Unlike traditional stadiums of the era, the Silverdome bypassed heavy steel support beams. Instead, it relied entirely on air. 25 industrial fans ranging from 75 to 100 horsepower continuously pumped air into the stadium. This maintained an internal pressure of 5 pounds per square foot, keeping the lightweight fabric inflated like a giant balloon. To prevent wind from lifting the dome away, a network of 18 steel cables, each stretching 750 feet and weighing 15,000 pounds, anchored the fabric to a concrete compression ring. The system made the venue feel incredibly futuristic, yet it left the entire structure permanently dependent on constant mechanical support. On January 24, 1982, the sporting world focused its attention directly on Pontiac, Michigan. The stadium hosted Super Bowl XVI, a milestone marking the first time the NFL's premier championship game was staged in a cold-weather city. To make it possible, the league relied entirely on the protection of the massive air-supported dome. Inside, an energetic crowd of 81,270 fans watched the San Francisco 49ers defeat the Cincinnati Bengals 27-21. The single-day event generated an estimated $80 million in regional economic activity, proving this suburban venue could successfully manage a high-profile global broadcast. Under the translucent fabric roof, athletes competed in pristine, climate-controlled conditions while freezing winter winds howled outside. The successful game validated the sheer scale of the engineering, silencing critics who doubted the feasibility of a fabric dome in northern climates. The stadium had officially transitioned from an ambitious local gamble into a validated, world-class stage. On March 4, 1985, a winter storm exposed the physical limits of the air-supported dome. 8 inches of heavy, wet snow accumulated on the fabric, exceeding its design capacity. At 11:40 in the morning, while Lions players Gary Danielson, James Jones, and Eric Hipple practiced below, the pressurized roof tore open in 7 places. Air escaped rapidly, and the giant membrane deflated, dumping snow and concrete debris onto the playing floor. No one was injured, and crews eventually patched the tiers to repressurize the stadium, but the damage was done. The Silverdome's defining architectural feature was no longer viewed as a triumph of modern engineering. It was now a permanent, high-stakes liability that required constant vigilance against the northern elements. The physical vulnerability of the fabric roof did not diminish the stadium's status as a premier stage for massive global events. In March 1987, the venue welcomed 93,173 fans for WrestleMania 3, establishing an enduring indoor attendance milestone for professional wrestling. Just 6 months later, Pope John Paul II celebrated a historic mass inside the arena, drawing an even larger crowd of 93,682 worshippers to the covered floor. The stadium's technological adaptability became clear during the 1994 FIFA World Cup. To host the tournament's first ever indoor matches, engineers installed a natural turf field directly over the concrete floor, placing 1,850 hexagonal steel trays filled with soil and real grass under a custom watering and lighting system. These massive events proved the Silverdome was a highly versatile destination, capable of hosting the world's most demanding spectacles even while remaining entirely dependent on its pressurized, air-supported structure. In 2002, the financial foundation of the stadium fractured. The Detroit Lions, the anchor tenant that had justified the building's massive scale since 1975, relocated to Ford Field in downtown Detroit. The move stripped the city of Pontiac of its primary tenant and its most reliable source of municipal revenue. Overnight, ticket sales, parking fees, and concession taxes vanished, leaving a massive financial void for a local economy already struggling with industrial decline. While the team moved into a new $430 million downtown arena, the city of Pontiac remained legally responsible for the Silverdome. The physical reality of the air-supported roof meant that the building could not simply be locked up and ignored. The 25 massive industrial fans had to keep running day and night to prevent the 10-acre fabric membrane from deflating under the weight of Michigan winters. By the early 2000s, this basic operational maintenance cost the city over $1.5 million annually. Without an NFL franchise to fill 80,000 seats, the venue possessed no consistent way to generate the income required to cover these basic utility bills. The megastructure, designed to project regional prosperity, was now an unsustainable municipal liability. Pontiac was left holding the bill for a giant concrete monument that no longer had a reason to exist. In November 2009, Pontiac unloaded the financial burden at a public auction. Toronto-based investor Andreas Apostolopoulos purchased the 80,000-seat stadium for $583,000. The transaction valued the entire NFL venue at less than a single-family home in many American suburbs. Promised redevelopment plans failed to materialize. On January 4, 2013, the owner deflated the roof to escape winter maintenance costs. Without its protective dome, the arena fell victim to the Michigan weather. Rain and snow poured inside, flooding the floor and freezing into sheets of ice across the field. Throughout 2014, workers stripped the remaining seats and metal fixtures, reducing the once proud engineering achievement to a hollow, rotting concrete shell along the highway. On December 3, 2017, the Adamo Group prepared to bring down the concrete shell. Demolition crews rigged the main columns with 300 pounds of dynamite and 8 specialized shape charges aiming to sever the steel supporting the upper ring. Crowds gathered, cameras rolled, and the detonator was pressed. Thunderous explosions echoed across Pontiac, sending clouds of dust billowing into the air. But as the smoke cleared, the stadium's massive upper deck remained upright and intact. A wiring issue had prevented 10% of the explosive charges from firing, leaving the critical shape charges inert. The over-engineered concrete compression ring preserved its structural continuity, turning the highly publicized implosion into a national news spectacle. The following afternoon, on December 4, 2017, crews corrected the wiring and executed a second blast that finally collapsed the upper ring, yet the building still refused to go quietly. The remaining structure required a tedious, piece-by-piece mechanical teardown with hydraulic excavators, a process that dragged well into 2018. Today, only flat ground remains where a giant once ruled. As we continue building hyper-specific megastructures, the Silverdome stands as a warning. Its ultimate end wasn't a failure of engineering, but a failure of purpose. What do you think? Share your thoughts below.